Good morning. It is Overreaction Monday, November 25th, 2019. The Patriots disappoint Jerry Jones. The Niners engulf Green Bay. Ducky Hodges, quack, 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 quack. Friend of the show, saves the Steelers. The Seahawks win against the Eagles, who seem to be struggling. Will they win the NFC East? Will the Dallas Cowboys fire Jason Garrett? All signs point to yes for those two things. Let's have a hell of a Monday live from New York City. 4 World Trade about 15 feet away and 3 walls and 4 security people away from John Bon Jovi at this current moment. Evan Foxy, please play some Chase Rice.
It's the perfect occasion for a middle vacation from the heart of the nation. Not a young medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. I hope you have an incredible Monday. I am joined by Ty Schmidt of Waterloo, Iowa. Evan Fox is in the back. Zito's in the back. The entire SNY crew. And two morning show legends, old Nate Burleson and Schrager. How's it going, boys?
Awesome. You're the man.
No, you're the man, Schrags. Thanks for the shout-out the other day. I do believe my onside kick was better than that other guy, so I appreciate that. Nate Burleson, quick question. Is that Niners defense going to lead them all the way to the Super Bowl?
Yes, 100%. The way they made Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable, 5 sacks. But you know what's more important than that? It was the pressures and the QB hits. When was the last time you saw Aaron Rodgers with the Eli face?
Schrags, what's going on with Bulaga? Is he hurt for good or is he coming back?
He walked off. They're concerned about it. They can't have that number 70 light out there in big spots. He was getting worked by Bosa.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay, so Panthers, Joe Sly, he misses that field goal. Do you walk away saying it's a team loss? Or as a kicker, do you say, that one was on me, fam?
Joe Sly is looking in the mirror in his eyes at the guy that lost that game completely. Spin zone, though. If Alberto Riveron doesn't have his tinfoil cap on and mad at Sean Payton and doesn't overturn that pass interference, Sly probably makes the kick from further back because they won't jump to center, which is what they did for that short 28-yarder that made him push
You're
it.
the best. You're a glorious man.
No, you're the best. Have a good one. Good Morning Football on NFL Network. They got a chance to interview John Bon Jovi. We will not.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. All right. They're good, by the way, those two.
Very good. Yep.
Schraig's got inside scoops on inside scoops.
Everywhere.
Those insiders are an interesting life because they can't talk to anybody because nobody trusts them. So every conversation you have with them, you're getting a coffee and you say, oh, my groin hurts a little bit. Like, oh, I got a little tight groin. Schraig go right to his people. Just like Shefty, Rappaport, Schrags, Glazer, all of them that have inside information. Tough to have friendships when you're living that life.
Yeah, they're playing both sides of the knife now, too. You know, you get to go on Good Morning Football and have your takes, and then at the same time, you know, you're getting those texts rolling in like, oh, so-and-so's not playing this weekend. It's a nice little setup.
Oh, you're talking about old Shefty, who's become a complete pundit.
Yeah.
Shefty will out there and roll the dice and stir the pot. Speaking of stirring the pot, that 49ers defense does a lot of that. Normally, you would lead off with Cowboys-Patriots talk, which we will get to in a little bit. But that Sunday Night Football game was very indicative to a lot of things. I took shots at the Niners early. I said the San Francisco 49ers team, they stunk last year. I heard all the hype about them last year. Jimmy G does instead of tears his knee. He's out. They stink. Now, this year, whenever they started winning games and that defense was just dominating folks, the offense wasn't really moving. George Kittle was a superstar, but it was very much a defense-led team. You started looking at their schedule earlier, you're like, haven't played anybody. It's almost like they were playing Shane Falco the first couple weeks. It was very hard to say, yeah, this defense is incredible. Then on Monday Night Football, they played the Browns, who had all the weapons in the world, and they made them look like children out there. So then you had to pick up your respect a little bit for the 49ers. You're like, wait a minute, maybe they are studs, but the Browns, still the Browns at this point. Then they lose to the Seahawks, a game that they should have won, by the way, hindsight, a missed kick away from winning that game. And you're like, it was easy for guys like me to say, I told you as soon as they play somebody good, game over. Then here, Sunday Night Football in Santa Clara, California, an hour outside of San Francisco, Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur, and the Green Bay Packers, who have been doing well this year, take on the San Francisco 49ers near Aaron Rodgers' hometown, so you expect him to have a massive game. Especially go back to the draft with the quote where you ask him how disappointed he is that the Niners didn't draft him. He goes, not as disappointed as the Niners are going to be for not drafting me. So you have that whole storyline. You have them coming off a bye week. You're real excited. And then, oh boy, did that Niners defense put on a show. They absolutely slaughtered the Green Bay Packers offensive line, especially with Bulaga out, and just absolutely demoralized that Green Bay Packers team, which scares the hell out of me, being that Aaron Rodgers, not only the best insurance salesman on earth, but also one of my good friends. It scared me how uncomfortable they made him feel and look last night, especially going forward, Ty.
Yeah, I don't want to say I told anyone so, but this is exactly what we talked about late last week. We said that if the Niners get into a position where the Packers are behind the chains and they can just kind of pin their ears back and go after the quarterback, they're going to be very successful. The Packers, Rodgers had to, they had to abandon the run game so early because they were getting their ass kicked.
And Aaron Jones has been a star for them.
They are a run-first team now. Like, they still expect Rodgers to make the plays when they're there, but they make no bones about it. They're trying to run the football down people's throats.
I have a friend who's rather large, who knows things about offensive line play and happens to know the 49ers defense pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what is the problem with that defense that makes them so much better than everybody else? It seems like it's a pretty basic concept what he's running. And he broke down to me that on third downs, they have this ability to get 5 rushers so that every one of your offensive linemen is one-on-one. So if there's a weakness in your offensive line at all, it's going to be exposed on third down, which is the money down, the only down that matters. Yesterday, Bulaga gets hurt, so obviously they just start attacking that. Bosa has a big day. But if they run into a team that can slow down their guys up front on third down, I think maybe they're in trouble. But I think it's going to be very hard to find a team that can do that. The team that instantly pops in my mind that the Niners have in the next couple of weeks is the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens have a great offensive line. If you can hold up on third down and not let those absolute savages up front for the Niners eat, I think you can hold up pretty well, but it seems like it's going to be difficult to get 5 guys lined up next to each other at the end of a season who are all on the same page that can go one-on-one with a great pass rusher, no matter who it is. They got Bosa, obviously, and Buckner, but D Ford's coming back as well. They got They got talent on top of talent out there. That's going to be tough to stop. And that Niners team, I didn't give them enough respect and credit early because I didn't think they played anybody. They played somebody. And they made them look bad. That Packers team looked bad last night.
Yeah, they looked terrible. Offensively, George Kittle, I think, is the best player in football.
He's so good.
I really do. And he's a mismatch nightmare no matter who's out there. He's an Iowa guy, so it's kind of a homer take, but I feel like he's Gronk, but he's a better blocker. Like, he literally...
Gronk was a great blocker, too.
He was, and the only reason I say that is because Iowa runs the ball a lot, so, he was blocking a bunch. But I feel like with him on the field... They are bar none the best team in football.
Very similar to Gronk.
Right.
Both in whenever he shows up, how you can stop him, you can't, and in blocking. Gronk was a very good blocker, which I think is why a lot of his teammates would even say best to ever do it, because he wasn't just a one-sided animal. But Kittle, he finds a way to get open, and when he gets open, he pulls away from people.
Yeah.
Big, lumbering, strapping, funny white dude just pulling away from people, and it seems as if he's all in on the team. Loves the defensive side of the ball, loves his teammates love him, which is a big deal. Kyle Shanahan also drawing up plays for him to get open. That offense has not been flashy. That offense hasn't been like, oh, that's my fantasy football offense. But they're winning.
Yeah.
And I assume they're only going to get better and better with it. That Seahawks game, if you look back, they had like 3 different chances to win it. They could have won it. They could be the only undefeated team in football right now. And I assume this conversation would be happening everywhere, as opposed to the convo that is happening everywhere, which is Cowboys Jerry Jones hates Jason Garrett. Has the time come for Jerry Jones to say, enough with the crap, smiling, clapping guy? Sure felt like that after the game. Jerry Jones talks a lot.
A lot.
Jerry Jones is a very powerful man in this industry, so his voice is heard on a very regular occasion. He has marketed his team to be America's team, one of the biggest franchises in the entire world. Doesn't matter if it comes to sport, just franchise in general. Has taken zero of the citizens' tax dollars to build up his office, his facility there, Jerry World. So you got to have a lot of respect for the man. A couple weeks ago, he takes a lot of shots at his own coaching staff, in my eyes, whenever he complimented Zimmer's coaching ability in shutting down Ezekiel Elliott. I mentioned it. I talked about it. Everybody from Dallas said, no. He was just giving a compliment. He's a nice guy. Then a couple weeks before that, he said that the offensive coordinator position is the hottest seat in all of sports or something like that. I said, wait a minute. Is he going after Kellen Moore? Everybody said, no. He didn't mean it like that. He talks a lot. That quote was taken out of context. Let's play what Jerry Jones said just yesterday after the game. By the way, in New England, that was a close game that they probably could have won.
Terrible weather,
which almost leads into Jerry Jones' point even more after you hear it, but could have won. This is what Jerry Jones says.
I don't think there's a game that a coaching staff has areas that it couldn't do better in. And I just don't like it that we've got so many as I'm standing here tonight.
Okay. He also said some other things, I believe, about how special teams is directly correlated to the coaching, which, by the way, when you're playing against Belichick cares about the special teams. He's like invested in the special teams. And they got a guy named Matthew Slater. Matthew Slater is the best special teams player of all time. His dad, Jackie Slater, NFL legend, so he's a generational talent. He's very, very good. They also have Justin Bethel, good schemes, block a punt, score a touchdown, bing, bang, boom. Put a returner back. You put the Cowboys punt team in a blender because you didn't put a returner back. That means they were never, ever prepared for an over number of people inside the box, because when you don't have a returner back, you have 9 people in the box on a punt, which means that your front line has to zone protect basically instead of man protect, which is normal. If I am a punter in a game and I see no returner back and I'm punting into the wind, I am so happy because all I have to do is just catch it, low line that thing, and it's just going to run out. Instead, they get a delay of game because they don't know what to do. Then they get an illegal shift, and then they lose 20 yards of field position with Belichick choosing not to put a returner back. He beats them in all aspects of the game, which is why Jerry Jones said, I built this team better, which I would argue he's right. With that weather, the rain, the wind, all that, to have a great O-line, which is what the Cowboys supposed to have, to have a great running game, which is what the Cowboys are supposed to have, in a defense that can do well and can swarm and can move to the ball, you would think that that game was almost set up for them to succeed as opposed to the Patriots. And here we are talking about a Patriots team that still doesn't have their offense clicking yet. They made a play down there in N'Keal Harry.
Yep.
Great back shoulder throw, great catch. But he drops one later where most of the time those balls are caught. Julian Edelman had one hit off his hands, which doesn't normally happen. He makes up for it later, but normally those are caught. So this was a defense and special team strictly win for the Patriots. And if you're a Cowboys at Jerry Jones, you're like, come on, this was one of our only chances to get this win. And it looks like this season is kind of spiraling out of control.
The thing I don't understand either is, look, like Jason Garrett is going to get his ass canned. He probably deserves to. He's been there far too long, I think many would argue.
9 years he's been there clapping.
9 years.
2 playoff wins.
Right. But, like, they have had several more, much more egregious losses this year. I don't know why after this game, like, I mean, I guess die-hard Cowboys fans maybe expected them to win, but, like, is anyone really that shocked that that's the way that game played out?
No.
Like, it's just interesting that he would take a stand that hard after this game as opposed to, like, the Minnesota game or a handful of these other losses where they really had no business losing.
I think once you start looking down the line, both them and Philadelphia have a pretty good schedule, but they have a couple more losses, I think, coming down, and I don't think Philadelphia has that many, and they're not going to get the wild card spot. So this is another year where the Cowboys and Jerry Jones could have been having this conversation up in the suite. It looks like we're not making the playoffs this year, boys. And that could be tough to take, especially if you're the owner of a franchise that's supposed to be marketed everywhere. It is 10:14 Eastern Standard Time, 9:14 Central, 7:14 Pacific. Overreaction Monday continues on the other side of the break with Josh Sitton. Going to talk to him about that Packers offensive line. What the hell's going on out there? Aaron Rodgers looked like he was running for his life all night. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. When a young girl, when a young girl's whole life behind. Yes, sir. Sorry, I don't know why you listen to the show. It's 10:19 Eastern Standard Time, Overreaction Monday. I think we're being joined by a man who played offensive line for a long time, an all-pro, an all-American man. Ladies and gentlemen, I think joining us, Josh Sitton. Welcome back, Josh.
Hey, what's up, Matt? How are you, bud?
Oh, my God. Where are you calling us from right now? Are you on vacation?
No, I'm actually sitting on my brother's back porch.
Well, it looks...
He just had a baby, so we're coming over here to hang out with the new fresh baby.
Well, congrats on being an uncle. I don't think you get enough credit in this whole thing, honestly.
I completely agree. He's been soliciting my advice for the past 3 days. So, I've got 2, so I'm an expert.
Well, well, congratulations. Not only be a great dad, great uncle, but people soliciting advice. I think you're going to be getting a call potentially from the Packers. Last night, Bulaga gets hurt, and that Niners D-line and their front 4 that becomes a front 5 on third down had their way with Green Bay. What is the way to stop that, especially if something's bleeding, like it was for the Green Bay Packers?
Man, honestly, there's no way to stop that. You got to be successful early on running the ball, and the Packers weren't able to do that, which, I was kind of surprised. They've been able to run the ball successfully against everybody. When you get that much talent on defense on third down, you ain't stopping that. You're not you're not going to be able to scheme anything. It just is what it is, man. And they kind of got their butts whooped up front.
Okay, the last time we talked to you, you said this is the Packers and Saints and NFC, and that was before the Niners had played anybody. Now, granted, they've played the Seahawks. They should have won that game. They lose that game. They put on a show here against the Packers. Has anything changed on your thoughts about the Niners, especially going into the playoffs?
I mean, it's changed a little bit, but I'm still going with the Saints and Packers. I look at if you look at the Seahawks game, it came down to Jimmy G having to throw the ball and take over the game, and he couldn't do it, and that's why they lost the game. I've just got more faith in the other quarterback in that top of that division. Obviously, they just whooped up on the Packers, but I think if things don't go to schedule for San Fran week in and week out, then they're not going to be able to pull it off in the end. And if you look at their schedules going out, I think San Fran could lose 3 of their last 5. And honestly, I think the Packers run the table and win the rest of them. And I think the Saints probably maybe lose one more. You look at that Colts game or, even the Falcons this week. So I think there's still a chance that the NFC Championship goes through New Orleans or Green Bay.
Well, keep that baby guarded from the pterodactyl that seems to be flying around in the background there. Who do you think the Packers, if they have to run into the Niners again, will have an answer for that? What is the answer for that? If you're obviously outmanned up front, getting the ball out quicker, getting the run game going, what is the answer for that for the Packers if they have to run into the Niners?
Well, you've got to be able to run the ball, and it's tough to beat a team twice in this league, as you know. But I think if the Packers have to go to New Orleans or have to go back to San Fran, then, I don't think they make it anywhere. It's whoever's going to have that home game, and that's, it's pretty obvious. That's kind of the way it goes in this league. Whoever has that home championship game usually wins. But I think it's especially true this year with New Orleans, probably the second toughest place to play in this league. And San Fran is just riding so much momentum right now and kicking ass everywhere. So wherever that game is going to be who wins. But I don't really think they have an answer except for being able to run the ball successfully. You can't just sit back and drop back and pass the ball. You got to move the pocket and things like that, and you set that up with the run game.
Okay, let's talk about home field advantage and pivot to the other side of the league. New England is notoriously impossible to get a win against in Foxborough. Yesterday, the Cowboys had the conditions, the temperature, the weather, which almost could have helped their team maybe, but in the end they lose to the Patriots, special teams and defense and things of that nature. Have you gotten a chance to hear what Jerry Jones said about his coach, Coach Jason Garrett, after the game? And do you think that the Cowboys are all hype and have no shot of making the playoffs this year?
Well, yeah, I did hear what Jerry Jones says, and a lot of people give him crap because most GMs and owners don't speak like he does, and they don't do interviews, and people think he's cocky, in which, he is. It is what it is. But I like him being candid. I love, he's normally giving you an honest response, and he lets his emotions kind of hang on his sleeves there, and I like that about him. And he's kind of putting that coaching staff on notice. We all know that, Jason Garrett is in the hot seat. If he wasn't, he would have an extension already. And, you got to blame somebody. And when you have that much talent on a football team, you've got, 3 or 4 first rounders on the offensive line. You got Zeke Elliott, you got Amari Cooper that you traded a first rounder away from for, and you got that talent on the defensive line, and you're not getting the production out of that defensive side. You gotta put the blame somewhere. And special teams did lose them the game yesterday. They had all the advantages to go win that game, and they couldn't pull it off. And it's not easy to go into New England and win. We all know that. But they had a chance, and they blew it. And Jerry's right. I think it is. I think it is on the coaching staff.
I agree. I absolutely agree, because I think even whenever I saw the weather report, I was like, oh, this is Cowboys' game. This is Cowboys' game with the rain, the wind. Now, granted, the Patriots' offense hasn't been moving that much. They had a couple spots there where they showed some flashes. I still am in the bank that they're going to figure it out, but they're going to have to, because in the AFC, there's another big swinging Richard, and that is the Baltimore Ravens, who are playing tonight against the Rams. You're an offensive lineman. Let's say you're a part of Yonda and the boys' Baltimore Ravens offensive line, and you got Lamar Jackson behind you. What are the thoughts, and how does that team get stopped unless Lamar Jackson gets a cold or something like that?
It's fun, man. Blocking for a guy like that would be a hell of a time. And I'll say this: I think Coach Harbaugh is Coach of the Year, hands down. I don't think it's close. He had the balls to go take a kid like Lamar Jackson and change up his staff and change up their entire scheme. And most teams and most coaches do not have the balls to go do that. So props to that whole organization, because that's an unbelievable move. And I think they're proving a lot of people wrong. And you're kind of seeing a shift in the NFL with these quarterbacks. Honestly, I think the only thing that can slow them down is an injury to Lamar. And everybody says he takes hits differently and doesn't, he's not going to get hurt and this and that. Well, at some point it's going to catch up to him. But I don't think it's going to be this year. Once they go pay him $40 million, I bet they won't be running him as much. But, he's not slowing down any time. And it's a hell of a team to watch. You'd love to play for a team like that as an offensive line, because there's so much confusion in what they do. And it's not just because Lamar can run so well. It's because the scheme they run confuses the hell out of defenses. And it's fun to watch. They're a blast to watch.
We were talking to Kyle Williams last week, former Buffalo Bill. He was out on a duck hunt in the middle of the woods in Louisiana. We were talking to him about it, and he said basically the D-line is kind of in this terrible position, because if they're just trying to keep him contained, then there's no rush, and he has all day, and he can make the passes in the pretty easy route tree that they have for him to go to a tight end. And then if you go for it, he's going to make you miss and make you look stupid. So there's literally nothing that a D-line can really prepare for other than if individuals can make plays. And I think that's kind of how he viewed it all. I assume offensive line's the same thought?
Yeah, I agree. There's a guy like that. The only way you stop him is you have to get your 2 guys in the middle, have to get pressure. That's the only way you can affect a guy like that. And you have to let your edge guys kind of slow rush, but your 2 guys up the middle have to get pressure. And if you send blitzers, he's going to beat you throwing it. Or if he gets past that first line, if you blitz 5, typically there's not another guy to sit back there and go make the tackle, right? So you don't stop that guy, and honestly, right now you can't even contain him.
Okay, so Aaron Donald is a middle guy that is playing this evening. What can he do that can help out this whole thing?
Yeah, that's the key to this game is is what kind of pressure he can get in the middle. And you're not even looking to sack Lamar. You're looking really just get him off his spot, but not let him get out of the pocket. If he gets off his spot and gets out of the pocket, you're screwed. There's no chance in hell. He's a better athlete than probably anybody in the NFL right now. I mean, he's made people look so friggin' stupid. It's fun to watch.
Yep.
But yeah, you've got to affect him and make him get off his spot throwing the ball without him moving out of the pocket, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense, and I appreciate that breakdown. Is the deficiency of the Patriots right now on the offensive side of the ball their offensive line or their speed or both?
I mean, honestly, it's a combination of everything. But, they've gotten the new left tackle in there, and once he gets grooving a little bit and gets a little bit of experience, that's going to sure up. And the N'Keal Harry kid I think he's a baller, so I think they're going to get better. And like you said, you got to bet on the Patriots to figure it out in December. That they always do. Why would they not now? But I mean, I definitely think Tom.
That's such a real thought right there. By the way, it's like, okay, their offense looked bad. Yeah, they're terrible. Okay, who wants to say anything bad about them? Anybody? No.
Yeah,
Does anybody think they're not going to figure it out? Nope, not a single person.
No chance in hell I'm betting against those guys. I mean. Bill Belichick, obviously best coach ever. Tom Brady, the best quarterback ever. How do you bet against those guys? Yeah, they look like crap right now, honestly, but they'll figure out a way, to figure it out in December. But they don't lose games, and when you have a defense like that, you can, Tom Brady is a game manager right now. It's crazy to say, but he just manages games and lets his defense go score frickin' 5 points a game or whatever. So that's just what they have to do.
Yeah, I think they've kept opponents to 14 or less points. I forget it's an astronomical number that is just absolutely absurd. That defense is unbelievable. They lose Gronk and somehow the whole team gets even better. It's just almost unfair at this point, the way things are operating. We talked to Kyle Van Noy a couple weeks. He said it's because there's a lot of vets in there, a lot of guys that have been in this scheme, so they know when I zig, he'll zag and everything like that. That can be something that can really obviously help long term, I'd assume.
Well, they're so smart, and most teams are just not that smart. I know I spoke on it a few weeks ago with you. They're that much smarter than everybody. And I was watching a show on the NFL Network. They're breaking down like the 100 best players ever. And they had Belichick on there, and they were.
He's a host. He's a host of that show.
Yeah, and he was great. They started talking about him, and he said, "Well, he almost made it sound simple." He said, "You find your strengths, and you exploit them, and you find their weaknesses." And he was talking about the art of war, and you find their weaknesses, and you exploit them. And it's just so simple, and we all know that, but he just does it so much better than everybody. And he gets his whole defense, he gets the whole team to do that, which is incredible because it's such a short week each week practice, and it's such a short amount of time to get ready for these games. For him to be able to have all these schemes in and have all these guys know the scheme and be able to communicate it is pretty damn incredible.
Him hosting that is a great get by the NFL Network, by the way.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I don't know how the hell they pulled that off.
Because I think even just the things that just slip out of his mouth are going to be so insightful because it's like, oh, this guy never really lets us into his world when it comes to football, other than the Do Your Job documentaries where they talk about all the little things. But listening to him give his thoughts on how players play and different positions and things like that, if you listen to that, I'm assuming it's going to be football 101 all the way through 501 if you just listen to the entire series and let him slip some gems out.
I love it. I mean, he's breaking down running backs from the 50s, and he knows everything about them. Like, this guy's he's a freak, man.
He grew up in the Naval Academy, I guess, in the football, because his dad was a coach there for 40 years. They said that he comes back and just watches film there and stuff. He's not scared to break it down. Just an absolute football dude, football guy of all football guys. I would have loved to play for him, I think. He wouldn't have loved me. I think I would have enjoyed playing for him, I think.
I was going to say, I don't think I would have made it a week in New England. But.
Me neither. I heard that Patriot way is a different way, but it seems to be a winning one. Mr. Sitton, I can't thank you enough for joining us, buddy. Get back to being a great uncle.
All right, I will, man. Appreciate you guys.
Was that a pterodactyl that was flying ahead there early? I hung up.
You see it flying, huh?
Have a good one, Josh. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Good guy.
Yeah, he's the best.
Played in the NFL 11 years. Knows a lot of things. Was on, I think he won a Super Bowl.
He did with the Packers.
Won a Super Bowl with the Packers. Guy's been there, done that, and he's cool, which I appreciate. Beard, chilling on a back patio right there. Just became an uncle. Congrats to him. The conversation about Lamar Jackson, I think, is so intriguing to all us, retired players, because whenever you're in like the building, you get to hear what people talk about, right? So you get to hear some coaches' ideas. Even offensive coaches have ideas on how you would stop that. Like if it's in lunch or walking down the hall, be like, "Did you see that thing?" You're like, "Yeah, I saw his highlight last night. How do you stop that?" "Well, I think you would," and you would hear these people like kind of, give their takes on it or whether or not he was unstoppable. So whenever I listen to other players that are retired talk about him, it's pretty cool because those are the conversations that are absolutely happening. The in-depth, like, yeah, and if I get a good jump on it, he's probably just going to come up underneath me. It's like he's an unstoppable force. And they're -3.5 tonight, I think, in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is like when it comes showtime, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lamar Jackson is a showtime guy. He handles his press conferences with a lot of confidence. He told Deion Sanders that draft night, hey, they're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. He's never shied away from the big moment at all. So you would think in Los Angeles, with a lot of people that are going to be there specifically to see Lamar Jackson, this is just like when LeBron went down to Miami and they called themselves the Heatles, how they were selling out stadiums. Lamar Jackson is that for football right now because he's doing things that nobody's ever seen before. That Coliseum tonight is going to be a big-time Lamar Jackson spectacle. And -3.5 sounds absurd to me unless Aaron Donald could do something. And this also might be the people in the desert knowing a lot more than I do. I don't know how they always get it right.
Yeah, it almost feels like a trap game kind of with the line being like that.
It does. They've been winning by 50.
Because everyone thinks the Ravens are going to kick their ass. Everyone.
I was
with the exception of Vegas.
I was almost going to tease them up to -10.
Yes.
What are the odds there? I might be completely wrong. I don't think so. Music, please. 10:36. If you've been thinking about a little lower. Perfect. Ooh, hey. You're listening to hack music because we don't have the rights. If you've been thinking about your home security, there is no better time to get it than right now. This week, Simply Safe is offering listeners of this show the best deal of the year. You'll get 25% off any new system plus a free HD security camera. You hear me sing the praises of Simply Safe Home Security on the show every single week. It's the best in home security, period. With Simply Safe, you'll get everything you need to keep your home safe. Entry sensors, motion sensors, a smart lock, not a dumb one, Ty. It's a smart-ass lock. Ivy League lock, video doorbell security cameras, plus 24/7 professional monitoring with police dispatch that's 3.5 times faster. It's the home security we trust. So if you've been waiting or on the fence about getting a security system, wait no more, my friend. Go to simplysafe.com/Pat to get 25% off your system, plus a free security camera. This is the best deal you'll ever find on home security. Order before this Monday to get this exclusive offer, 25% off and a free security camera, simplysafe.com/Pat, simplysafe.com/PAT. 10:37, we're back on the other side. Overreaction Monday. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't name. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't name. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down and let me attack. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't name. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down and let me attack. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't name. Good intentions hold the same. Flame, bold to steal the sun. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down. Hey, oh, hey, ooh, hey, oh, hey. Shame, control, like a cage behind deep dark eyes. The games unfold, you've won. Take your soul, let it grow without a show. Make the goal and run. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down and let me attack. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down and let me attack. When the only weapon is your name, and they won't count if you don't aim. Good intentions hold us back. You should stand down and let me So now you're here again, knocking at my door. A little too late for, I'm sorry for. The lights went out 'cause you kept
John Bon Jovi was outside the studio at the beginning of the show. Now there's a sitcom being shot out there. We did not meet John Bon, and we have not been asked to join a sitcom. But it's an electric overreaction Monday, November 25th, 2019. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show, 1043. We're joined by Josh Sitton, former All-Pro guard and Super Bowl champion, to talk about all things NFL. We chatted about the Patriots and how everybody, and I don't think it's just retired players that are thinking like this. I think everybody's thinking that the Patriots offense is going to figure it out. You know?
I agree.
That was a pretty good little fade out of the music.
Yeah, not bad.
Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good. As I was trying to get the sentence out, I kept hearing myself listening to the lyrics, because most of our songs don't have lyrics.
Right.
That was a good fade out there, though. I appreciate you. It made me feel upbeat. Speaking of upbeat, I think Patriots fans are probably very upbeat. They know that they're winning games right now without the best player in football playing that well, without the best player in football being able to get on the same page as the rest of the offense. Their offense, very average, below average. I think it's like in the 20s or something like that, which is not normal, obviously. But their defense and special teams are winning them games. Patriots fans are like, listen, we have Tom Brady. We have Julian Edelman, also a Super Bowl MVP. We got a lot of guys on the offensive side of the ball. Not as many as we're used to having. We don't have the Gronk or an electric weapon like that. But we still got guys that are smart and have won before. And they've been playing like do. And we're still 10-1. They are 10-1 right now, and we have yet to see them come anywhere near what they could potentially be here in the next. It could come at any time.
Right.
Bill Belichick has said real football doesn't begin until after Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
He might not have said that publicly, but I think maybe somebody who was in the Patriot way let that leak out. And Thanksgiving, just a couple days away. Get a chance to get a little turkey, some stuffing. Toss in a ham there. I eat an apple pie because I'm an American. People love the pumpkin pie. I'm not big on the pumpkin pie because I think it needs whipped cream, and I'm not a whipped cream guy. So I'll stick with the apple pie. Nonetheless, everybody comes over. Everybody gets fat. It's Thanksgiving. Excited about that. But in Bill Belichick's head, he's not thinking about any of that. What he's thinking about is like, okay, now we have to play real football. Now we have to look back on the first 3 quarters of the season and see what worked and what didn't work, get rid of what didn't work, keep what worked, and our offense has got to figure it out. That defense is humming. I mean, Stephon Gilmore just said, to Amari Cooper, who has been playing a very high level of football as of late.
Yep.
26 of 30 routes that Amari Cooper ran, Stephon Gilmore was covering him. You know how many balls Amari Cooper caught yesterday? 0. You know how many balls Stephon Gilmore caught yesterday? 1. Stephon Gilmore had more receptions as a Cowboy last night than Amari Cooper. When you got a guy that can just lock folks down, and you got a leader like Kyle Van Noy and the rest of the group that can get pressure and also all play on a string and know exactly where everybody's headed, that is tough to stop. And then you got special teams. Not only do you have Matt Slater, the best special teams player of all time, they also have Justin Bethel, who is a Pro Bowl special teamer. You got old Joe in the middle snapping. Jake Bailey, the rookie's been doing a great job. And Nick Folk, although he missed a couple kicks, which might be, by the way, they were all bashing Gostkowski, all Patriots fans. Hey, guy misses wicked kicks, dude. He misses wicked amounts of kicks, dude. It's like, yeah, but you don't know what else is out there. That's just like the Colts fans that want to get rid of Vinatieri. It's like, hey, I know Instagram looks good when people only post their makes, but there's a lot of misses that come, especially whenever there's 70,000 people watching and millions and millions of dollars on the line. So maybe their weakness is Folk. Right now, everybody's saying the offense is a weakness. I would agree. But we all know they're going to figure it out. That's just what they do. And the Cowboys on the other side, they were built to win that game last night. Now, that phantom tripping call, Alberto Riveron just can't help himself. Bill Belichick tells Alberto Riveron, hey, we've noticed that the Dallas Cowboys, they get a little kicksy, you know what I mean? They trip a little bit. And that's exactly what happens, by the way. You watch film, and then you call the ref, you call Alberto Riveron, and you say, hey, we've been noticing on film that they've been getting a little handsy on the back end, and when we run these routes and these things, we don't want to get grabbed or tugged. And then Alberto Riveron will relay that down to the officials that are calling the game. They'll watch some films, and then before the game, they'll come over and they'll say, okay, other than the holding in the back end, do you have anything else? And the special teams guy will be like, yeah, their long snapper lifts the ball up before he snaps it. That's a false start. But if our guys move, we want to know that they're moving on that. So it's like almost trying to help the refs out with things that you're potentially going to do and make sure that the rules don't get in the way. So Bill Belichick obviously reported that, hey, this Cowboys team, you know, they stick a leg out there. They've been tripping folks, especially when we run these stunts. They've been tripping folks. And it showed up 2 times last night, and both of them were pretty, I don't think so.
Yeah, not great.
John Perry, ESPN Monday Night Football, said that they were both wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to say, hey, we were wrong, we're sorry for that. And they'll send an email down to Dallas to Jason Garrett, who's heard Jerry Jones's comments about his position as the coach of the team. And that email will say, we're sorry, we messed up on this trip that would have had you a first down in a game-winning drive instead of a 4th and 11. Yeah, we're sorry about that. We messed that one up. This other trip, we messed this one up. There was this hold on this return, this, a whole laundry list of things. And Jason Garrett's just supposed to sit there and go, oh, yeah, hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Because right now the only talk is that the Cowboys are going to have to fire their head coach. The talk is that the Cowboys probably not going to make it to the playoffs because you lose that game. And nobody thought they were going to win it at all. And they set themselves up to be in a position to potentially win it in the 4th quarter with how bad they've played. And instead, Alberto Riveron's crew, the Riveron gang, throws a flag on a trip that didn't exist and puts them in a 4th and 11 instead of a first down moving forward on a game-winning drive. I mean, that's tough. It's tough to beat the Patriots. It's tough to beat the Patriots in Foxborough. It's tough to beat the Patriots in Foxborough in November. It's tough to beat the Patriots in Foxborough in November against the refs.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. There would be maybe some cause for concern if the Pats were like 7-4 or something like that, but they've proved that Brady doesn't have to be on the top of his game. They're still winning games, and everyone, like you said, everyone thinks like he's going to figure it out at some point. If he doesn't, they've still shown that they can win if he doesn't figure it out.
10 times out of 11. 10-1. Seahawks, they got an MVP candidate. They're really good. They've already lost twice.
Mm-hmm.
This Patriots team, who doesn't really have an offense yet, is 10-1. It's a joke. Just got texted a tweet from our Canadian friend Gumpy quoting Kevin Seifert or Seifert?
Seifert?
Seifert. In his Twitter photo, he has a little bit of a box top and then glasses. He goes, number of times a team has been called twice for tripping in one game in the last 10 years before yesterday? 2 times. So it was obviously a point of emphasis that old Belichick got across. And in the end, his great coaching, putting that word into the refs' ears, gets them the win and makes it a crucial 4th and 11 that Amari Cooper, I thought caught, by the way. Turns out he dropped it. I don't think I fully understand that rule, too. If it hits the ground and control it and you don't control it, I don't think I fully get it.
I don't
But
either.
it definitely hit the ground and moved, so it wasn't a catch.
Also, I don't like this narrative necessarily because now Cowboys fans will run with this and act like that's the only reason they lost the game. I mean, granted, there were 2 big calls, but again, like, you know, if you're...
Hold on, no. 2 big calls, blocked punt. Without those 3 things, without those 3 plays happening, whole new narrative today. Cowboys are back, NFC East. Jason Garrett, what a coach. Instead, Jason Garrett stinks. They got beat not only on the punt block, but on another punt where Belichick decided not to put a returner back and put 9 men in the box. They got so flustered they took a delay of game, and then they did it again, got so flustered they had an illegal shift, and then Belichick puts a returner back there, fair catches it, and gains 20 yards somehow. They just got outcoached in all things. But without that trip, and they could potentially go down and win it, without that block punt, whole different story. Jason Garrett somehow goes into Foxborough and gets a win. That's why football is the greatest thing on earth.
Yeah, I mean, and see,
It's the greatest thing on earth.
My argument would be like, well, they still have to score a touchdown there. They hadn't scored all day. The Patriots defense buckles down there in the red zone. You still have to go in and score and beat them. If I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm happy they got beat yesterday, and I'm happy that Jerry came out after the game and basically took a shot at Garrett and said, hey, you know, like I'm wearing thin on this guy. I don't want him anymore. If I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm jacked up. I don't know very many of them who want Jason Garrett back next year.
Well, Dak Prescott, completely different side. You talk bad about Dak, you get attacked.
Right.
You talk bad about Jason Garrett, it's kind of like I'll let you say it.
Yeah.
They're not really like pro or against you. They're just like, yeah, maybe. It's been 9 years. We haven't won much. We would like a different guy in here. I'll be excited. I guess there's a rumor that Jason Garrett wants to go to the Giants if he leaves Dallas.
Maybe a good fit.
Hey, I want to go to the Giants. I'd like to be the head coach of the Giants, too. And how about you, Ty? You want to be a head coach?
Yeah,
anymore?
sure. Maybe if they want to like let me play O-line or quarterback,
You want to
that'd
be
be
offensive
awesome.
line?
Yeah, sure. I'd
Okay.
bone up a little bit.
All right. So these are all things that we want. Yeah. Good for Jason Garrett. I guess they're firing their coach, Shermer.
They need to. He just, same deal. We were talking about this earlier this morning. In New York, I feel like you need a guy who's just kind of a hard ass. You can't really just have like a milquetoast guy who's always getting offended by the media and like whining and pouting. They need someone who's a proven winner again. They haven't been worth a damn since Tom Coughlin left.
Agreed. Seahawks get the win over the Eagles. I think the Eagles still win the NFC East because their schedule is favorable for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Dallas Cowboys not going to make the playoffs, and there's going to be another entire round of drama with the Cowboys this offseason. I can't wait for that. Cleveland Browns put up 41 versus Miami. Not dead yet. The 5th wild card spot on the AFC is going to the Buffalo Bills. I think everybody can agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But that 6th one is going to be highly contested. Colts, Titans, Browns, Steelers. A lot of teams looking for that thing. With Ducky Hodges flying the flock in Pittsburgh, everybody's on notice. I think the Bills are good, by the way. Beat Denver 20-3.
I think so too.
I think they got really good defense. I think Josh Allen with big hands, big arm, is starting to figure it out a little bit.
They have a recipe to go and win, especially on the road in the playoffs. If you can defend people like they can, and one thing you notice with their games, they never get blown out, and they never really blow anybody out. It always seems like they play someone close. Granted, they won 20-3 this week, but for the most part, I feel like they play, no matter who they're playing, they play them very close and very tough.
Jets blow out the Raiders. Welcome back to Sam Darnold playing football good again. Build up the hope for the Jets fans just to crash down yet again in the offseason. Saints win on last-second field goal versus the Panthers after Sly misses a 28-yarder. Not great. Lions. The Detroit Lions lose to the Redskins for Dwayne Haskins' first official NFL victory. He misses the kneel down for the final play of the game due to taking a selfie. Trubisky threw a touchdown.
Bear time! Squeaked one out.
Just screamed bear down in the back. 10:55, we're back on the other side. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
vacation, 2 hours of magic, let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is, Chase Rice. I appreciate you. He's on tour. If he's in your city, go check him out. It is Overreaction Monday, November 25th, 2019, live from 4 World Trade in New York City, sitting alongside from Waterloo, Iowa, Ty Schmidt. Ty, how you doing?
Well, I've been a lot better. You know, the Packers got their asses kicked last night. To try to kind of cope with that, I spent $38 on a piece of cheesecake and a Coke, which just wasn't a sound financial decision. So I've been a lot better, but hey. Beautiful day in New York here. I'm okay.
Well, I think you might have needed at least a $50 piece of cheesecake to get over what the Niners did to the demoralized Packers last night. I mean, that's what it looked like. That Chargers game a couple weeks ago, was it the Chargers that did? Yeah, the Chargers game a couple weeks ago was something that I thought the Packers needed. A little bit of a wake-up call.
Right.
Hey, how's it going? Things are going too well. Aaron Jones had like 100 touchdowns going in there. Aaron Rodgers was getting hot. That LaFleur offense was moving. And then last night against the Niners, that Niners defense, man, made it look like a kid's game out there. They have this ability on third down, on the money down, the down that gets you off the field and your money into your bank account. That defense has this ability to make other teams just look inept. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best players, most talented player of all time. Not just in a game right now, of all time. That Matt LaFleur offense was starting to run itself. Even if Aaron wasn't able to do his absolute best in a game, the run game could pick it up. Little dinks and dunks could pick it up. And last night, the San Francisco 49ers defense, which I said for a long time, they haven't played anybody. They haven't played. If they played the Seahawks, they lose. Now, looking back on it, they played the Seahawks. They should have won. Mm-hmm. And against the Packers, they showed up in a big way. That defensive front, with Bosa and Buckner, and I believe there's a Williams in there, and D Ford, I assume, is going to get back at some point. They make people look bad, and if you have a little bit of a weakness on your offensive line, they're going to find it, they're going to expose it, and they're going to celebrate in your face because of it. Whenever Bulaga got hurt last night, you might as well have just started playing the trumpets, get the fat lady, tell her to start singing. Yeah. It was going to be a long night, and it was just that for the Packers. Even though I don't think the world is lost for the Packers, I don't know how, if they run into that Niners team in the future, they can fix what happened, other than maybe getting the ball out of your hands quicker. If you're Aaron, I don't know, you're going to have to drop different plays, because they were on top of him before he could even say, hot. That's real.
Yeah, I mean, and I said it last night, and a lot of people were like, whoa, you need to calm down. The Packers look like pretenders, because when it comes to this time, if you have a good team like that, you don't give a rat's ass about winning the division. Like, I don't care. Who cares if they win the division? We're trying to win the Super Bowl. And what they showed last night, if they have to go back to San Francisco, it's tough imagining that they're going to be any more successful. It's kind of interesting because everyone talks about the best part about Rodgers' games is he likes to hold on to the ball. He creates that extra time where he can get out of the pocket and make plays for his receivers. Yeah, that plays right into their strength. And also now the receivers had a hell of a time getting open last night. He's still kind of trying to find his groove with the Devontae Adams, so he's forcing balls to him. Other guys aren't getting open because Devontae's back. Aaron Jones has been basically absent from the passing game the last couple weeks. They have a lot they need to fix. Luckily, they have 3 kind of cupcake games coming up here where they can kind of right the ship a little bit.
Advanced practices.
Exactly.
But for the Niners, they look like there's not a lot that can beat them. I mean, granted, they lost to the Seahawks, but they should have won that game. Right. They could kick you in that game. That defense is stout, not only up in the front, but Richard Sherman and the boys in the back.
The secondary is great.
And then the offense, now granted, the secondary feeds off of how good the front is. Right. Because you get pressure on the quarterback, get him off balance, you got to throw a lot of passes that end up as tips or overthrows and things like that. So definitely it goes in stereo, but that defense is dominant and it's fun to watch. On the offensive side of the ball, Kyle Shanahan, not only the most swagged out younger coach on the sideline, with the Ruka hat and stuff like that. He looks good. Has been to the Super Bowl. We won't talk about that outcome. But he's a guy that can draw plays for his players to succeed, i.e. George Kittle. who's the best tight end in the game right now. He can run. He has an incredible personality. And whenever your quarterback is struggling, having a good tight end is the perfect person to have. Having Kyle Shanahan's brain draw up the running backs and things like that, I think this could be a very, very dangerous team going forward, obviously. And I know I was wrong when I said they... No, actually, I wasn't wrong.
You weren't.
Hey, I was not wrong. When I said they hadn't played anybody, that statistically and factually was not incorrect. So all of San Francisco started coming after me. Yeah, what don't you say about the Patriots? Valid, but the Patriots have won 45 Super Bowls. This team's brand new. This team's brand new. So I was like, have they proved anything? Yeah, they're good. They're good. They haven't played anybody. But now that they've had this performance, not only on primetime television against the Browns, who look like they're maybe back, not only against the Seahawks, where they should have won, but now against the Packers in dominant fashion, respect needs to be given to the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm happy to do it right now.
Yeah, and I think to Kyle Shanahan's credit, I think he's kind of gained that we need to step on these people's throats mentality, especially after the Super Bowl. They said last night the Niners got the ball to start the second half, and when they were coming back in there, said he was like, hey, we want to get the ball, score, get a stop on defense, go back and score again. And with the play calling, it looked like that's what they were trying to do. They weren't really running, grinding the clock. They were doing the exact same thing they had been doing the entire first half.
And I think they have a group of guys that really care for each other. That was a big deal for John Lynch whenever he was building the team. That's going to be tough to beat. The New Orleans Saints, by the way, tinfoil caps on, got screwed by Alberto Riveron in a pass interference call. That was a phantom call that went to review and got called, basically. In a league in a year where an additional review was allowed, you can review pass interference. Because of what happened to the New Orleans Saints in the NFC Championship game, which basically stopped them from going to Super Bowl, which brings billions to your city and to your team. The NFL said, let's make it right. We're going to add that to the list of things that you can review. You can review pass interferences because not only is it normally the longest penalty that ever happens, not only is it one that can become somebody's offensive strategy, just throw it up and hope that not only is it a game changer or a game wrecker for a team, but because it is very difficult to call live because you don't know with these athletes that are running 4.2s and 4.3s who's doing what to who. We'll be able to review it so we don't have that situation happen ever again. That rule being allowed into the review world has been a colossal disaster. Everybody on the internet agrees on something, and Alberto Riveron in New York disagree with everybody. So from a PR standpoint, from an optics standpoint, it stinks whenever all of your fans think one thing and then the game is telling you a complete opposite. Hey, do the fans just not understand the sport that they love, or does the league that represents the sport that they love not understand its own rules? There's where discourse starts happening. So it's been a nightmare all year. It almost has gotten to the point where coaches are mocking the fact that they're trying to review it because they just want to show their fans, yes, I understand that wasn't pass interference, or I understand we did get interfered with on that pass. I'm just showing you this knowing that I'm going to challenge it and it's not going to get overturned, because that has been the trend this year with Alberto Riveron. Alberto Riveron has trended with staying with the call on the field because he feels like the refs have been disrespected by the review taking away from a judgment call, which has been happening a long time for a lot of different things, but this one is a judgment call. Less than 9% of the time it's overturned. That's a small percentage. I'm a gambling man. I split queens against a bust number on the blackjack. I wouldn't even take if something has 7% chance. I'm not even taking that. If it's near 15, I'm like, okay, I can swing. 8%, it's been overturned in review. And then against the New Orleans Saints, the team that made this all come to be, for me to just think that Alberto Riveron didn't have that in his mind when he decided to overturn it, for me to just assume that Alberto Riveron said to Sean Payton while relaying the message back into the ear of the ref and tell Sean, this is what he wanted. It almost made him lose the game.
They gift-wrapped that game for the Panthers.
Oh, my God, they tried their best with that. Now, was it pass interference? I would assume it's the same as everybody. Like, yes, that could be called pass interference, but all year the consistency on this has been nowhere near what it should be for a billion-dollar company. There'll be times where guys are tackled and they're like, yep, no overturn, not calling it. Just because. And then that little grab, they're like, yep, overturn it. We're taking a stand. We made a rule for a reason. And it just so happens to be against the team that the rule is made for, against the coach that the rule is made for. And then bang, nothing happens. Sly misses a 28-yarder, which, by the way, quarterbacks can feel pressure in the pocket. They have this innate ability to move, you know. Oh, my God, I'm going to drop back here. I'm going to go over here. Kickers can feel if a human is standing directly in front of them. The guy jumped right over the snapper, was right in front of Sly. I think Sly tried to push it a little bit to the right, pushed it too much for a 28-yarder. When it's that close, it's tough to get any action on the ball. You can't do it. Has to make that kick, obviously, but I think he felt the guy right in front of him go right back down the other way. Drew Brees and the boys, and Will Lutz, Will spelled with one L because he gave the other L to the Carolina Panthers with a 33-yarder that looked like he was maybe pushing. He hit that thing a bit thin, but that's not what Will Big Nuts Lutz knocking that through. But that was supposed to be a Panther win, and instead it's the Saints. But, boy, that Alberto Riveron, Sean Payton story in the middle of that thing was beautiful to watch unfold.
Yeah, and they tried to screw him over on the missed field goal, too. They threw that flag, and everyone thought they were going to call defensive holding or, whatever it was for him to get over the line of scrimmage. And then they were like, actually, this might be too egregious. If it was in Carolina, we'll stick with it, but it's in New Orleans. Let's pick that up. Let's give him a shot.
I love, though, that Sean Payton said we didn't have a good game. They didn't have a good game. New York didn't have a good game. Next question. Sean Payton's probably at the point where he just wants to explode about it, but you can't. Have to be professional. You're representing the Shield. Even though the person that's representing the Shield in the rules department is asinine. I bet you he's a good guy. I bet you Alberto Riveron's a good guy. And the fact that he did that to Sean Payton makes me think I'd probably want to be friends with him. Like, if he's if he's that spiteful that he hates the fact that he even made that a reviewable thing, and he's like, this is what he wanted, tell him to take it. Yeah, it's pass interference for sure.
I heard he doesn't give away candy in Halloween. He gives away apples and toothbrushes.
Is this a Zito fact or actual fact?
This is a Zito fact, but it could be actual.
Well, I guess anything could potentially be factual.
Very factual. Good word, by the way.
Factual?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've never heard of it. And that's very obvious with a lot of the things that you say. But, I mean, that's pretty big slander, by the way, saying that a guy doesn't give away candy. I'm not going to go that far.
No.
He stinks. He's ruining the game, but I'm not going to say this guy doesn't give away candy. That'd be tough.
Yeah, there's no coming back from that.
Newsflash. Now you can manscape without the fear thanks to Manscaped, who is #1 in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. You will feel fearless and fresh with Manscaped line of products. Starting with the Lawnmower 2.0 with proprietary skin-safe technology, this trimmer won't nick or snag your nuts, Ty.
No, it won't.
No, it won't.
Never.
How's that work?
The technology.
How do planes fly?
Mm-hmm.
How did those pyramids get built without any machinery?
Yep.
How does Stonehenge stay standing?
Mm-hmm.
How do you find the lower two abs of your gut that everybody has on Instagram? And how does the Lawnmower 2.0 have a technology that you can just shave and buzz your Neville region and there's no fear of blood? Ow! That's technology. Plus the crop preserver and anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. I mean, why wouldn't you put deodorant on the smellest part of your body? It's time to man up and stop using the same trimmer on your face as you use on your balls, Zito. That's nasty. Thanks to Manscaped, manscaping accidents are finally a thing of past. Feel fearless, feel fresh, and feel fine when you use the right tools for the job this time. Your balls will thank you, and so will your wallet. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code America at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code America. It's waterproof too. Take that thing in the shower.
Wow.
First time I used it, I didn't just stop at the balls.
Right.
I did my entire lower half, toes and all.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mystery on how they did it, but it's their technology that we get to utilize. Manscaped.com, code America for 20% off and free shipping. We'll be back on the other side. More Overreaction Monday. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show from 4 World Trade.
So now you're here again, knocking at my door. A little too late for, I'm sorry for. The lights went out 'cause you kept cutting the cord, and I started to fade into your gray. See, I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. The future is now. I waited for you in the passenger seat. There's only so far I can ride in your dreams. While you were chasing everything else but me, I'm starting to break out from your grave. See, I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. I'm not backing down, 'cause the future is now. Not backing down, 'cause the future is now. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. The future is now.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. I am the man that the show is named after. My mom gave me that name to name me after my father's mother, Patricia McAfee. God rest her soul. She was a great lady. Welcome back. It's November 25th, 2019. Overreaction Monday. Join alongside Ty Schmidt. Ty's Packers got mollywopped last night by the 49ers on primetime television. Evan Foxy's in the back. His Lions got defeated by the Washington Redskins.
This one's tough.
Well, Foxy, it's tough because the tweet that you put out before the game, because we have a FanDuel deal and we boost odds over there and we do a lot of things, Foxy and everybody has kind of, gotten into giving out tips on who to gamble on.
Yeah.
Sure.
Foxy put out a tweet yesterday before the Lions game that said, hey, why don't you go ahead, take your mortgage, take your car, take whatever credit card you can max out, take all your clothes, all your shoes, grab the kitchen, and bet that thing on Jeff Driscoll and the Detroit Lions taking on the Washington Redskins. And Evan Foxy, how many people are without a house and deeply in debt today because they chose to listen to a guy that went to Michigan State?
Yeah, according to my responses on Twitter, for the first time in my life, I was ratioed. A lot of people are going to be upset this Christmas because their kids are not going to have presents.
Shout out Hanukkah, too. I mean,
Yeah. Kwanzaa.
I mean, and Kwanzaa.
Well, no one said that in my responses, but you get it.
Oh.
Wow.
Whoa.
Hey.
Very selective group Foxy has following him.
Oh, so it's only the people that believe in the sequel of the Bible that follow along with Foxy? I just learned a lot about Foxy.
Apparently.
Well, I would argue, though, if you've been following along, every single time I've guaranteed a Lions dub, they have lost. So if you've been following along, you fade Foxy, you're going to win money. So there are people that did that,
That's
too.
easy to do, though, because the Lions lose what seems to be,
Damn near every week.
which is almost surprising because the Redskins also lose.
Damn near every week.
But instead, Dwayne Haskins gets his moment where he gets a win, throwing 0 touchdowns, dropped one underneath to set up old Hopkins for the field goal to get the win there, misses the kneel down because he's taking a selfie. A lot of old whites, by the way, are
Oh, they
upset.
love that. They love that move.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. From what I've heard, the old whites, they
Hey, let's start a new segment. What do the old whites hate today?
Well, apparently, the old whites are not a fan of taking a selfie instead of being in victory formation with the team.
I could fathom that.
Yeah.
I could see how the older whites would be like, hey, listen, you finally get a win in the NFL. There's been a lot of dramatics with you. You charge people to get into your draft party. Whenever you weren't starting earlier, you refused to hang around the starter to try to learn anything. Just last week, you were talking into a group of men about how you can help them as a starting quarterback in an interesting fashion, and none of them took you seriously, which tells me a lot more about how you're acting off the field than it does on the field. But you finally get a win. You're the face of the franchise, not only right now, but going forward. This is your first time winning in the NFL. You're excited. You want to pump up the fan base. You take a selfie, and in the process, you miss the kneel down. I actually don't hate it, by the way.
Who cares?
Who cares?
They stink.
They are so bad at football.
He may never win another game.
In his entire career, Dwayne Haskins might never win another NFL game. But they should have a parade. Dwayne Haskins should think about having a parade today and maybe even miss practice for that. Because what are we playing for? We're playing to celebrate. The sport is a celebration sport. You get a first down, it's a celebration. You stop them from getting a first down, it's a celebration. You score, you celebrate. You overturn a review, you celebrate. We're a celebration sport. And he might legitimately never in his entire life in this league, in that city where he grew up, ever win again. Take a selfie, kid.
How do we not know that he was like, you know what? I want Case to enjoy this with his teammates too, okay? You know what? He deserves it just as much as I do. Let him get out there in victory formation with the boys.
Nobody's saying that.
No one's saying
Good
that.
teammate.
Good teammate, Dwayne Haskins. He's had a full spit take in this very expensive studio. The thought of him caring about Case Keenum was.
No, man, get Case in there. Let's get Case in there for the.
I got a couple quick photos lined up. Maybe we'll let old loser ass Case Keenum taste a little glory once again. He had a Minneapolis Miracle just a couple years ago. Fall from glory. Mm-hmm. Let him get this W here in victory formation with the Washington Redskins. Good for him. I'm happy for Dwayne Haskins getting that win, though. I don't see a lot of success coming from there.
No.
Maybe partially his fault for how he plays football. He seems to be missing a lot, which didn't happen in college. So I don't know if you could just lose accuracy. I'd assume it'd come back. But that organization ain't never. And they stink. That organization stinks.
They're never going to be good again.
Can't be.
Ever.
Can't be. Especially with who knows what's going to happen with the Cowboys. I mean, that division stinks too. I mean,
Yeah.
There's opportunity in that division too because of the overhype and underperform type thing that happens down there in Jerry World on a regular basis. If they get a coach, though, that might all turn around very quickly. A lot of people are saying Jason Garrett's hot. Coaches that are potentially in Lincoln Riley. Matt Rule, by the way, another guy who's down there who would be a great NFL coach. I think the Colts were already looking at him.
He's the hottest coach in Texas right now.
Matt Rule is a good dude. I've gotten a chance to meet with him. I think he probably could turn things around a lot of places. I don't always know how college coaches are going to do in the NFL because it's a very new world right now. It's different generations. In the NFL, by the way, it's also grown men that you're dealing with. So will he be able to handle it? Maybe, maybe not. Will Lincoln Riley do well down there? Maybe, maybe not. That might take a couple years to turn it over, though. So if you're the Redskins, you have a quarterback that you like, you could potentially get some dubs in the division, but instead, you're always going to be the Redskins. You're just going to stink, and everybody knows it. It's just like the Patriots offense is going to figure itself out. We know that.
Yep.
The Redskins are going to stink. We know that.
Also,
That's wild.
I think you look at the Giants. If they get a good coach, I think Daniel Jones is good enough where in
Saquon, too.
Yeah, a couple years, like they might be the best team in that division. It's weird what's going on in Philly right now with Carson Wentz. I don't know if he's like trying to do too much or what it is, but I mean, that entire city has turned on him. You know, he was a savior a couple years ago, and they are all out on him now.
Well, he looked last night like he was not very comfortable in the pocket.
Looked terrible.
Well, yeah, but I think the reason why he looked terrible is because he wasn't very comfortable in the pocket. So anytime you're not comfortable in the pocket, you start underthrowing, overthrowing. I mean, he overthrew a guy that was 3 yards away from him, which is wild. And then you see on the other side there, I think the Seahawks defense is a lot better than people give him credit for. I said this on Get Up. Michael Lombardi said this on our show a couple weeks ago. Michael Lombardi and the rest of the world had a narrative about the Seahawks defense that everybody was pretty much understood. Russell Wilson was winning by himself in spite of the rest of the team that he had. Yeah, he had Lockett on the offensive side of the ball, but other than that, nobody. He had that new draft pick, but he wasn't ready yet. The defense couldn't stop a nosebleed and everything like that. But these last few weeks for this Seattle Seahawks defense, it feels like something's coming together for them. They didn't have Jadeveon Clowney yesterday, and they were still getting to Carson Wentz on a very regular basis. The last 4 weeks, they've forced 12 takeaways. That is a lot of turnovers, and you get the ball into Russell Wilson's hands, now we're playing the game. Now the Seahawks become a fully rounded team. And just like Belichick, Thanksgiving week is when Pete Carroll hopes that his team's off and running. If they can continue to create turnovers and be a good defense like they were last night against Carson Wentz, they had 5 turnovers. Carson Wentz had 4 of them. That's a lot without Jadeveon Clowney. And Russell Wilson, who had probably his worst game he's had all year, still threw a couple tutters. He has this Henry Rodengartner appeal, by the way. His legs could be all fornicated up, and he just snaps the wrist and just drops it in a bucket. If they can continue to create takeaways, he can continue to play at his level that he's playing. Special teams picks it up. I mean, the Seahawks they are going to be a contender. Now, the 49ers, though, standing in their way, standing in their division. Will be interesting to see how the Seahawks go through the wild card and everything like that. But boy, that team looks like they're damn good. Even though the Eagles look bad, and Wentz missed some easy throws. I think that Seahawks defense was the thing that stuck out to me the most. It's like, hey, this backdoor cover nightmare team that the Seahawks were because their defense couldn't stop anybody, it feels like kind of coming together right now.
Yeah, I also don't think it's crazy to think with how tough the 49ers schedule is coming up that the Seahawks could end up winning that division.
Who they got?
I know they play the Saints, and God, I just saw it this morning. They have one of the toughest remaining schedules in football.
The Niners do?
The Niners do, whereas like the Eagles, they have the easiest remaining schedule in football.
Now, the Niners made quick work of the Packers.
Very quick work.
Very good team. One of the NFC favorites, my Super Bowl favorite out of the NFC. So let's not say they won't be able to do that to other teams.
Right.
But if they run into a team that has a good offensive line, like I think they play the Ravens in the next couple weeks,
Next week.
I'll be excited to see how that goes. Coming off a short week for the Ravens, will their offensive line be able to hold up against the front of the Niners? But boy, Niners-Seahawks is going to be a great game, I assume, at some point it's coming down. I like the Seahawks team coming together. The NFC, Michael Thomas down for the New Orleans Saints. His Twitter and social media handle, @Can'tGuardMike, might be the most accurate thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's pretty good.
He's a Teddy Bridgewater quarterback, doesn't matter. Teddy Bridgewater, a good quarterback, but everybody's like, well, he has Drew Brees. Also, Teddy Bridgewater, he's been doing things that nobody has done. People are saying, hey, this guy should be in the MVP conversation. I can agree with you there, but this is a quarterback-driven league. If a wide receiver wins the MVP, then the business changes on who has to get paid what. Just like the same thing with running back. That's why everybody says Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, they're never going to win it. The quarterback's going to win it. It's a quarterback league. But the fact that he's even being mentioned in there as a wide receiver, especially on Drew Brees' team, is something impressive, and he's going to get his every single week. It's just whether or not that Saints defense can keep up with how the offense is going to go, and I think thus far they've proven that they can. Great special teams as well. The NFC is going to be a lot of fun to watch down the stretch.
Yeah, it's weird. The Saints, because they almost seem like they've regressed a little bit since Brees came back. They were so hot with Bridgewater, and they had that hiccup against the Falcons. So it'll be interesting to see if they kind of ramp things back up going towards the playoffs with Brees and kind of are firing on all cylinders again.
Sean Payton. He's getting trolled by Alberto Riveron. He's had to deal and win with a backup quarterback. He's done that. He's got a weapon as a wide receiver. Let's assume he gets cooking over there. And in the AFC now, everybody knows Patriots are in. Houston Texans and Colts are on a collision course for the South for the rest of the year. Who knows who that's going to be? Ravens are going to win the AFC North.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you got to give it to who's coming out of the AFC West? It's the
probably the Chiefs. The Raiders did themselves no favors.
Losing
yesterday.
last night to the Jets.
Yeah.
That's what I was just about to, because in my mind I had Raiders were coming out of there, but then you lose to the Jets. That could turn a spiral, by the way.
Yeah.
Now, the Jets obviously have been looking for just a little bit of glimmer of hope here the last couple of weeks because their fan base got all excited. Then mono happened, then they stink again, and then this whole thing. But the Raiders look like a team that could do it.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's talking about, let's assume that the Chiefs and all their weapons are going to figure it out. Started on Monday Night Football last week. Okay, so let's give it to the Chiefs. So then the Buffalo Bills have that first wild card spot locked up. Everybody's thinking they're 8-3 right now. Let's assume they can continue to have success. So that second wild card spot number 6 there, is going to be highly contested. Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans has been putting up incredible numbers, I guess. They've been winning games. They get the ball to Henry. Taylor Lewan and the boys are shotgunning beers as celebrations. Had a big guy touchdown. The Titans are going to want in there. The Colts are going to want in there. The Browns, who put a thumping and a hurting on Snowflake and the Dolphins yesterday, are they all the way back? And the Steelers now got Ducky Hodges at quarterback. You might as well call Ducky Hodges Duck Fitzmagic, because that's what he is.
Yep.
Same type of appeal. He gets on the field and good things start happening. He's a good dude.
Great dude.
He's a world champion duck caller.
Mm-hmm.
And the other quarterback started the most vicious fight in NFL history. He throws a helium balloon to his wide receivers. He might be a good quarterback down the line, but right now he's just not. Duck Hodges has this feel and this carefreeness that can really get them going. But that team around Duck Hodges is a good team in Pittsburgh. And that Cleveland team around Baker is a good team if they can get going. Now, granted, still coached by Freddie Kitchens.
Yikes.
So situationally, maybe some poor decision will be made at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But the Browns still have a shot at making it in. They still got to play the Ravens. They still got to play the Cardinals, who we predicted last week is going to break some hearts around the holiday season.
Yep.
The Cardinals can do that in a couple different fashions for a couple different teams. Let's assume they will. And then you got the Titans and the Colts. And if it's not if the Texans end up losing the AFC South and the Colts start winning, then you got the Texans, the Titans, the Steelers, and the Browns all vying for one thing with a lot of good football left.
I think Mike Tomlin should be in consideration for Coach of the Year. I don't know, he
never gets talked about.
I feel like he gets a bad rap. It might just be because we work with a couple guys who are from Pittsburgh, so you kind of hear the pulse of Pittsburgh a little bit more, and they're not necessarily against Tomlin, but
Pittsburgh though.
Right.
They all think, the Tomlin time is come and gone.
It's like every year that someone's calling for his head. How many Pittsburgh fans thought that they would be 6-5 right now with a legitimate shot to go to the playoffs when Big Ben went out?
None.
Exactly.
We got rid of Antonio Brown, Lev Bell. They were the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Get them out of town. Oh, and then old Tommy John takes a sneak peek at the NFL after living in the MLB for so long. Quarterback's out. You lose your 3 best players on the offensive side of the ball, still 6-5, and Tomlin will never get credit for it.
And they're still banged up. Juju didn't play this last week. He's still, going through the concussion issues. I think at this point, you just got to ride Duck's coattails and take you right into the playoffs.
Quack, 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 quack. Hey, you know what ducks do?
What's that?
Fly together.
That's a great point.
I am a Colts fan through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Irsay paid me a lot of money to be a Colts fan.
Sure.
I mean, these are facts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a talking head. I'm a pundit, so I try to, keep it straight down the middle. But this Colts team, that ball was out on Thursday night, first of all. That ball was out. Darius Leonard had it in his hand, was waving at Alberto Riveron, saying it was out. No review, no nothing. Probably because now that we know that Alberto Riveron's a spiteful man,
right?
What he did to Sean Payton and the boys for the pass interference overturn there, we can assume he did that against me there.
Direct shot
for the Colts. That's a direct shot at me, so I apologize for the Colts for that in Colts fan base. Now that I know a little bit more about Alberto Riveron. But the Colts can still win a lot of games. And if they get in a wild card and they're healthy, and they got that offensive line back pummeling people, Colts could be a weapon in there too. But the Tennessee Titans, nobody's talking about them. Their head coach, Mike Vrabel, on Busting with the Boys this offseason, said he is 100% willing to take a sawzall to his reproduction organ to win another Super Bowl. didn't ask his wife, didn't matter, grows a mustache, got them boys playing down there. Had to make the big decision of benching Marcus Mariota, who was their franchise, to put in a former wide receiver, Ryan Tannehill, at quarterback. And they've done well and won some games. It's going to get close down here in the stretch. 11:36 here on this Monday, November 25th, 2019. On the other side, we'll take some calls. See how people are overreacting from around the world. 1-833-622-3331. On this date in history, the Cleveland Browns were penalized 508 yards, I believe.
Is that what it was? I thought I saw 210.
There's a 508 in there somewhere.
208, I believe. 208.
We were both right.
We were both right. It's a little fun little fact. So the Browns have always been a highly penalized team. They're a dog pound. Can't teach old dogs
new tricks.
But can they play football good again? We'll find out. 1-833-622-3331. It's the Pat McAfee Show. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Fun fact on this date, President John F. Kennedy was buried. Rest in peace to him, man.
Yeah, R.I.P. One of the greatest presidents of all time.
Does that get said about just about every president?
I don't know. I think his was different because he avoided the, nuclear war and everything, the Cuban Missile Crisis, all that kind of stuff. Good guy,
Love
celebrity.
Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe loved him, too, from what I've been told.
Yeah, she did.
Was that an ooh-wee back then?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. All right, Zito, since you're speaking anyways, do we have a fun fact today, or are we fresh out because you're not pushing any buttons?
No. There is a fun fact today. Last night I woke up after a 5-hour coma.
Oh, so good, by the way. I took the same one, but it was so good yesterday.
Oh, I ate some cookies, and I started thinking, how many cookies am I going to eat in my lifetime? And, Evan, if you want to go ahead and hit that. The average American will eat 35,000 cookies in their lifetime. And I thought about it. Santa has that beat. Back to you, Pat.
Where would you go to find out that information? I have smashed more than 35,000 already in my career. I think the new, we got into that fitness world, that fitness crave where they started eliminating things like Chewy Chips Ahoy used to have so many in their packaging.
Oh, yeah.
And then now it's just 4 groups of 10 or 11, I think. There's 44 of them in there. I will take out the entire package in one sitting. So that's 44 right to the gut in one day. The Oreos got smaller whenever they made the plastic and made it sealable, resealable. Yep. They made it smaller because they knew it couldn't last as long because it's a resealable. I could take out an entire thing like that.
I will say that's why you're an elite American. Not an average American.
Okay, you're right. The average American who doesn't have as good as taste buds as I do.
Amen.
I will house cook chocolate chip cookies. By the way, you throw a little peanut butter in there. Guy that works here, by the way, I forget his name. He's going to be the host of a show called Frozen Takes, though.
Yep.
Good luck to him. His mom made us a bunch of chocolate chip cookies, the Ghilardi family, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, strictly because of how much I like the cookies in the green room here at SNY at 4 World Trade. Couldn't get in there later because John Bon Jovi.
Yeah, Bon Jovi's here. They're also filming a pilot for some Fox show. I think it's called All in the Family. They have 400,000 square feet of cardboard put up, which is interesting that they would go to that amount of work to do that because that show is undoubtedly going to get canceled.
What?
So.
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
Can they hear us out there?
Just fact.
True producers are crying right now.
Good. Find something else.
Bro, it feels like the entire Fox lot is potentially in the hallways out here.
Exactly. They have everything set up. I mean, I thought it was like an episode of The West Wing. We got these hallways. I'm expecting 2 people to come walking down like we're doing a Sorkin walk and talk. Sorry, guys. It's going to get canceled, all right? Probably before sweeps.
What if this is the best show of all time? We'll never know. Let's get to the phones. 1-833-622-3331. A lot of people out there.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Could barely open the door.
Yeah.
Almost grumpy in my pants because I couldn't get out of here because the cardboard was being taped on the door. We're going to have to kick out of this thing like Jim Carrey coming out of that rhino in Pet Detective. That's how we're going to get out of this studio with how locked down they have it. Zito, let's get to the phones. 1-833-622-3331. Let's hear from the peoples.
Yes, sir. We have Mason from Texas. Wants to talk about the Falcons kicker.
All right. Mason, what's up?
Yo. So, the Atlanta Falcons kicker, Young-Ho Koo, these first 3 games he's played, he's 9-1, field goals made, averaging 13 fantasy points. I think he's a stud. Also played Korean soccer. Thought you'd like that.
Yeah, I love the old Young-Ho. Kid's a heck of a ball kicker. You said he's 9-1. Is that him versus the ball, or is he 9 of 10?
He dropped. Sorry.
He's 9-1, taking on the uprights. 9 times he split that thing. I do like Young-Ho, and hopefully they found a consistent kicker down there. They brought back Matt Bryant. They were kind of on a carousel. Young-Ho stepped up for them big time. 13 points a weekend for fantasy football. I know people that care about fantasy football care about that type of stuff. For me in particular, it's good for the brand whenever a team finds a guy that could be their guy for the long haul, because every time you bring in a guy and he stinks and bring in a guy and he stinks, it makes the brand look bad because these teams are on national television, and these kickers that should be selling insurance or burgers are out there kicking. I don't like it. I'm happy for the old Young-Ho.
Yeah, one of the few bright spots for the Falcons this year.
They stink. How'd they beat the Saints?
No idea.
That's why the NFL is insane. That's why you can't think much about that Raiders loss, because the Jets, by all accounts, are crumb dog grumpy at football this year. Their fans know it. I mean, there's people that are sitting in this room with us that won't be able to get out of this room because of the family thing that Fox is shooting outside. And even he, deep down in his soul, is like, damn, they're getting some wins now. Darnold's looking like he's a really good football player. Lev Bell is going to be good. Gase is going to stick around. And all we're in for is another absolute heartbreak of a season next year. Fireman Ed's going to quit again on the team. I mean, they know that, but they look good yesterday against the Raiders.
He agrees.
That's a moment of solitude for you. These New York teams, though, they stink.
They do.
With all these people, you would think they'd find a Vince Papale walking the street that make him at least a good football team. I ran into Gladiator across the street. He'd be a great fullback. I'd assume he'd get you some wins.
There you go.
Put Kyle Shanahan's offense in there.
There's got to be some guy out here who can coach better than Gase and Shermer.
Has to be. There's some guy spitting on the corner about the Bible. We flip that book with a playbook and have him start reading that and spitting it into the little microphone thing that he shoots out there.
Boom, 10-6.
Boom, playoffs.
Yeah.
Who else we got, Zito? By the way, the people that sit on the corner and tell me about the Bible, how do they think that's going to work? How do they think that's the best way for me to engage and finally go, I need the Jesus? How do they think that's the case? And don't they think that God probably hates them for doing what they're doing anyways?
Much less in New York City, where generally no one gives a rat's ass about anything going on other than where they need to be and where they need to go.
Yeah. I give them faith, though, because that's a lot of pages in that book.
Oh, yeah.
When you start spouting out in the Bible, when you start spouting out things, you've had to read it a couple times.
Have they added pages?
Typically, no.
I don't think the Bible is.
It's never ending.
Renovating. I don't think the Bible's renovating.
Not a running anthology.
They added another one though. That's where they added Jesus.
The New Testament.
Yeah, they added another one. That's where the guy came. You know what I mean? The Son.
Yep.
From the Holy Spirit, and yeah, his birthday's coming up, and the city is looking beautiful. They got roads shut down, by the way, so they can decorate for Jesus' birthday. And I'm pumped up about it. Any other callers, Z?
Yes, sir. We got Jack from Kentucky. He wants to talk about a little MVP race. Back to you, Jack.
Did you put him on?
Yeah, he's number one next to him. Alan.
Oh, jeez, what's going on, pal? Oh, Jack.
Get rid of him.
Just can't. Jack, what's going on, bub?
Hey, buddy. I don't know what just happened.
Were you down there on Whiskey Road or Whiskey Trail down there, Kentucky?
Yeah, a little bit. I was wondering if you thought McAfee had any shot at an MVP, and if he did, what you thought he needed to do. That was about it.
All right, Jack. Well, I appreciate you joining us this morning. Sounds like you've had a good one already, and I'm pumped for the rest of your day. And I think your Thanksgiving is probably going to be one that's pretty legendary with the family, Jack. I think Christian McCaffrey has been a hell of a football player. Now, granted, the Panthers lose yesterday, so it's not a good time to talk about MVP talk because you got to win for that convo. But for me, it's always been the same thing. This is a quarterback-driven league. If the NFL was to give the MVP to anybody other than the quarterback, that offsets everything financially, business-wise that they've set up here. Right now, the only people that are getting paid the buku insane numbers are the quarterbacks. If a running back was to win the MVP, then that means that the value of running backs has always gone up. They don't like paying running backs, even though whenever it gets to the playoffs and late in December, running backs are the only thing that matters. If they were to win the MVP, then you're putting a premium on a new position that isn't quarterback. Quarterback touches the ball every single play. They're the face of the league. They're going to be the ones that win the MVP. But if you're a non-quarterback player that gets into that conversation, you should feel damn good about yourself. Now, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, those two are probably going to run away with this thing. If Lamar Jackson can continue to be the Lamar Jackson he's been, he's going to win it outright because he is not only the number one Pro Bowl vote getter right now, he's an international sensation that has done something to the game and to the game that nobody's done in a long time. But the fact that McCaffrey's in the conversation and now Michael Thomas is inching into the conversation, that only is good things for them and their teams. But everybody knows the NFL is just going to pick a quarterback. That's just the way it goes forever and ever. Amen.
Lamar Jackson's going to end up rushing for over 1,000 yards this year, maybe.
Yeah, he's going to have 1,000 yards rushing. He's going to have like 10,000 yards passing. It's going to be something where it's like that dynamic of a player hasn't been seen for a long time. And it just stinks that Christian McCaffrey just so happened to go off this year. Let's assume Christian's going to have a good next couple years now that it is no longer Cam Newton's offense and it's his offense. Some people are saying Cam Newton should still be playing down there. I don't know if Christian McCaffrey goes off as much if Cam Newton is. And maybe Cam Newton is better than that Allen kid. I'm not sure. I think Cam Newton finds a better home somewhere else and gets going. But for me, the fact, Chicago Bears would be a good place. Even though Mitch Trubisky got a win through 2 picks, 1 touchdown, still wins.
Let's go.
He was like 21 of 47 or something.
Still a win, though.
By the way, he was on the run. He was on the run, which is good.
He?
Get him outside the pocket, which is where he succeeded last year, which they haven't been doing much this year. But for me, quarterback-driven league, although Christian McCaffrey was incredible. There was a year Vinatieri didn't miss. Should he have been an offensive MVP? Every single time he walked on the field, he scored a point. What are we trying to do in this game? Score points. That's all we're trying to do.
That's pretty astounding.
That's just not the way it goes. It's like Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was in the conversation last year, I believe. That would have been incredible if Aaron Donald wins, not only for himself, but for the entire D-line and for D-linemen going into negotiations. But the NFL knows better. Hey, we'll give $200 million contracts to the quarterback. We're not doing that to Ryan. We can't start doing that to everybody. So you see like Super Bowl MVPs go to different players because that's like the coaches picking it and things like that. But when it comes to the NFL and the voters, QB all the way through and through. It's just the way it goes.
Also, Lamar Jackson, like the Ravens are probably going to be the number 2 seed in the AFC. Tough to I mean, they are not the same team without him. He is the most valuable player in football.
And the Panthers probably not even going to make the playoffs.
Exactly.
Patriots disappoint Jerry Jones. 49ers engulf the Green Bay Packers. Duck Hodges quack, 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 comes in, CPRs the Steelers, throws a 79-yard touchdown in his first series. Is he going to be in a Hall of Famer? We don't know. Seahawks beat the Eagles. Eagles look lost. Look like they've kind of lost sorts a little bit. But they have a much easier schedule than the Cowboys. They're probably going to represent the NFC East. The Browns put up 41 in Miami. Are the Browns back? Are the Browns a good football team? They are in contention for that second wild card spot. There's 4 teams, the Browns, the Duck Hodgeses, the Indianapolis Colts, or the Houston Texans, and the Tennessee Titans, depending on who wins the AFC South. The Bills continue to steamroll teams. Old school fashion. Good defense. Offense moves the ball methodically. Every game's close, but they're getting wins. They are a lock for the wild card. Will they be able to make it for the long haul? Coach McDermott wants to know. Trubisky gets a win. The Saints win. And Dwayne Haskins misses victory formation after beating the dog crap out of the Evan Fox-led Detroit Lions.
We're on to Thanksgiving.
We're on to Thanksgiving. The Lions will put on a show. We're on to tomorrow. We can't thank you enough for listening and watching wherever you may be. I have no clue why you do, but I thank you for it. This has been the Pat McAfee Show.